Bear with me, because I may cry. I am a crier. First of all, and foremost, I want to thank Larry Davis for calling me last week and asking me to speak about my father. And I'm honored, so honored. I love the theme, how ORT changed one's life. And it did change my father's life. My father passed away 3 months ago, so this is pretty new. My father grew up in Milwaukee, Poland, which is the northwest part of Poland, kind of the borders between Russia and Poland, but it switched a lot of times when the borders were after the wars. In 1951, when my dad was 15, he was forced to locate in Lugo Ghetto, which him and his mom and his sister were forced to go. Of course, you know, ghetto had no food, no heat, no beds, no home. People were there to die and starve. But if you knew my dad, he is a survivor. He was a tough one. He was 5'3", 130 pounds. So he was a feisty man. So after the ghetto, he was transported on the train to Treblinka. And Treblinka, that was the death camp. No one survived Treblinka. And he was separated from his mother and sister. And on the train going to Treblinka, he had met a man that said, "Do as I do. And don't say anything, just follow me, just do as I do." And he did. He followed the man. Most of the prisoners got off, but there were dead bodies, corpses on the train. And my father was instructed with this man to take the corpses off the train and take them to the mass graves. He followed the man after putting the bodies, and they would hide under the clothing. You know, because all the prisoners had to strip down and get into their uniforms. So he did that. He went at night, and he kind of went stealth, you know, under the clothing, and he escaped. He escaped. It's amazing how he escaped Treblinka. Well, where do you go? He had nowhere to go. He went back to the ghetto, and because that was his comfort zone. So being there and surviving there and dealing with the Germans and selling eggs and cigarettes to get what he needed to get, he survived the ghetto again. Back on the train to Treblinka, and he knew where he was going, and he was not going to go back. My father jumped off. He jumped off the train, and he went into the woods. And he survived. He went with the partisan, the underground into the woods. If you remember the movie The Defiant, where Daniel Craig, where they were hiding in the woods, those of you who didn't see the movie, they were hiding in the woods, and my dad was taking care of the horses. And my dad, you know, I said, "How did you survive?" And he said, "We had a horse." So I love horses, so that kind of bothered me. Anyway, he was liberated in 1944, and after the war, he went to a displaced camp in Eschwege, Germany, and that is where he went to ORT. So my father was a graduate of the ORT school, which is amazing. He would be so into talking to you today. He would love this. Anyway. My dad was one of the only 2 survivors of Treblinka, and so I'm amazed by that. I just want you guys to know that. Anyway, in Eschwege at ORT, he was introduced to the electronic world, and they told him that radio and television was the wave of the future, and that was exciting to him because he loved the tech stuff. He loved the wires, he loved you know, how to fix it, how do you put it together, and take it apart and fix it again. He loved technology. He loved computers. In fact, when I, was kind of skittish myself trying to learn about computers when Apple came out with their first computer, he had said to me, "Do you like to use the phone?" I said, "Of course." He said, "You better learn how to use a computer because that's going to be the next telephone." Sweet jobs. So anyway, ORT gave him direction. ORT gave him vocational future. And he was there from 1947 to 48, learning how to fix everything that was electronics. He met my mother in Lawrenceburg, Germany, and my mother is my beautiful mother, who was a Holocaust survivor herself, who was in Auschwitz. And they fell in love immediately. And she was sponsored by a woman, the Logan family, Frances Logan. And she was sent to Omaha, Nebraska, where there were no survivors, so they tried to assimilate everybody in the United States. And they provided her with clothing and food and shelter. And after my dad's training in ORT, he wanted to follow my mother to Omaha, Nebraska. And they were married in the JCC in 1950. The JCC gave them their wedding. So here my father's working, and he comes to the United States not knowing English, but he was a quick learner, and he learned English very quickly. He worked for a TV shop for about a year, learning electronics there, and then he decided to open up his own business, which is called Exarban. And Exarban is spelled, it's Nebraska spelled backwards. Clever. Anyway, after years of working hard, fixing and servicing TVs and stereos, radios, tape recorders, anything that had to do with electronics, he became very successful in Omaha and very established. And with that, the Logan family came again in our lives, and it was that they had the largest furniture store under one roof in Nebraska. And Warren Buffett bought Nebraska Furniture Market a couple years ago. So you know how this company has grown and grown. My father lived a wonderful life in the United States. He had 4 children, 11 grandchildren, 1 great-grandchild. And he relished in our accomplishments. My father got his strength to start over from ORT. He got his strength with determination with both my parents. My brothers and sisters are so indebted to my parents because they really gave us guidance when they really didn't have any guidance. We are grateful to ORT for giving him a hand up, teaching him his way, and building this amazing family and life. And I just want to say to this new generation who's doing these computers and these robots, go baby go, because this is the future, and you know that this is not going to be the end. It's just beginning for you. So I'd love to see this next generation being so accomplished. And I just have to say one thing. I had heard Elie Wiesel in April at Kent State, and he had said something that was so profound. He had said, "I feel so sad for the last survivors to live because they're all gone. And probably in the next 10 years, all the survivors will be gone." And he said, how heavy, how horrible to have that burden. And I thought about that, and he's right. So it's up to me, it's up to my generation, it's up to my children's generation to always keep this memory alive, because we never want it to happen again. We never want a Holocaust. And we want people to thrive and to be educated, because that's so important. Thank you.